Um, we are also here to participate in the Kumbha Mela with hundreds and thousands of people who have come. And the story about the Kumbh is that a little bit of Amrit got spilt in 4 places where every year people gather together with the hope of licking the Amrit. But I'm sure the Amrit that was spilled many years ago must have evaporated by now. So it has some other meaning, which means sadhus especially gather together in a holy place near the river where they can sit and share their spiritual experiences with each other. This is the function of the Kumbha Mela. And the Kumbh with the Amrit is the wisdom that one gathers from the teachers. So happens that every year people gather in different holy places for this. One is Haridwar, the other is Prayag, then Nasik and Ujjain. These are the 4 places where the Melas are held. Now this happens to be the Purna Maha Kumbha Mela because it has come after 12 years back to Haridwar. Now, sadhus or spiritual aspirants, also those who belong to the sampradayas, the different mathas, they all gather together for the Kumbha Mela. You can find sadhus of all varieties, including pakhandi sadhus like us. But since I have said pakhandi, it was a joke, because now that we are all sitting here together, I would like to tell you, some of you know already, that Babaji, who was my teacher, was originally from the Nath Sampradaya, belonging to the Bairag section, Akada, of the Gorakhnathis, whose headquarters at one time was in a place which now has gone to Pakistan, in Sialkot. Now, some of the holy places of the Naths, like Hingalaj, for instance, have gone off to Karachi, Sindh. There were many Nath Pans in those days in Afghanistan, for instance. So, our lineage, Babaji's lineage, comes from the Gorakhnathi Nath Panth belonging to the subdivision called Bairag, in which also come illustrious names like Bhartrahari and so on. The great king who became a yogi. So this is the tradition, the parampara that I am from. And Babaji's name, real name was Maheshwar Nath. But he was also a disciple, a senior disciple of a being who we believe still exists and who we call Sri Guru. Now very often in our parampara, Sri Guru is identified with Adinath himself, which is Shivji. Sadashiva Adinath is identified with Sri Guru because he is the founder of all teaching. And from there Machendranath, from Machendranath to Gorakh, and from Gorakh down to different people. A Nath can be married, a Nath can be unmarried, he can be a wanderer or he can stay at home. But when he says Nath, which means he has reached a situation where he is a master of himself. That is the main meaning of Nath. Not master of somebody, master of himself. Now the Nath Panth's original sampradaya was what are known as the Pashupatas, where Pashu means the human soul. It also means the animal soul. Pati means the lord of that, which is referred to as Sadashiva, the Supreme Lord, Adinath. Now there is one mantra which describes the aim of the Naths. Now when I say Naths, don't separate it into a panth. Talking about human beings as such. One mantra which the Naths are repeatedly asked to look into is called Pashu Pasha Vimukta. You may not have heard. You're not supposed to discuss openly the Naths Sampradaya secrets unless you are initiated. But Babaji has given me a little bit of permission to talk, so I'm telling you. It's called Pashu Pasha Vimukta, which means Pashu meaning the individual soul. Pasha is the rope which has tied it and kept it in bondage. To remove that Pasha, to become Vimukta, is the aim of the Naths. Pashu Pasha Vimukta. And it is because of these people that the whole practice of yoga has been sustained in this country for hundreds and thousands of years, especially due to the work of Gorakhnath. If you go into the history of Gorakhnath's life, of course there are many legends because he was so famous. When somebody becomes prominent, many legends are also built up around him. But even then, if you filter through all the legends, you see he has met many great teachers. There are even dialogues in the Sakhis, with Guru Nanak having dialogues with Gorakhnath. It may be a Nathpanthi who came afterward because Guru Gorakhnath is at least 100 years before. Maybe one of the Gorakhpanthis who was very prominent. Very beautiful discussions. Janam Sakhis. Now, the textbooks of the Naths are the textbooks which have brought about the study of yoga. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, although it's called Ashtanga Yoga, and it said Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama and so on, no asanas are, for instance, described in the Yoga Sutras in detail. No pranayam is described in detail in the Yoga Sutras. Only mention is made and what advantages you derive from it. On the other hand, those textbooks which go deep into this in detail, the first and foremost is the Goraksha Shataka, 100 verses of Gorakhnath, which gives you a number of asanas which can be practiced, a number of breathing techniques, different meditation techniques in detail, kind of explaining the sutras of Patanjali. The other, you know that even there are asanas called Gorakshasana. And there are asanas called Machendrasana, which come from his Guru Machendra. Machendra is the tutelary deity of Nepal. The red little thing that they carry in Nepal, the procession, is Machendranath, whom the Buddhists call Avalokatishvara. And Machendranath is supposed to be the Guru of Gorakh. Even Gorakh has a Nepalese connection because the Gurkhas claim to be Gorakhas because he came from a place close by or he lived in that place. Our knowledge is that he came beyond the borders of present-day India and settled in Nepal for a while. Now, therefore, all of us here sitting today are in some way linked to the Sampradaya. Because we are listening to what I am saying, we know each other and we have been together for a long time. So, even if there is no formal initiation in this matter, I think we can call ourselves people who are trying to do Pashupasha Vimukta. Then you are a Nath. When the disciple first goes to the teacher, he is called a Dasa. He is also called an Augad, which means a trainee, apprentice. He is also called a Dasa, so his name is given as Dasa. Now the name that Babaji gave to me when I was his apprentice was Madhukar Das. In short form, he used to call me Madhu. I have never heard anybody say Madhu so sweetly. So Madhukar Das. And then after 3 years when I left him, he said, now you can throw the Das. Now you are a Nath. So it became Madhukar Nath. But I always like in the Parampara, when you meet a Nathpanthi somewhere, when you discuss with him, if you ask what is your name, I always say Madhukar Nath Maheshwar Nath Dasa, Madhukar Nath, servant of Maheshwar Nath. So, that is situation. These are the two symbols of the Naths. Three. One is the dhuni, which represents the inner fire of the Manipura chakra actually, as an external manifestation. And you will see that the Naths always maintain a dhuni, which is to say that always keep the fire of spiritual search burning inside you. And psychologically it means get the heat of the solar plexus moving. In Kriya Yoga, which is also part of the Nath Parampara, we do what is known as Navi Kriya, which is basically to awaken the heat of the Nath. Some of you who are practicing will understand what I am trying to say. Now, it is my personal experience and it is the knowledge of the Naths that if you sit before a dhuni and do this, it works much better than when you are without it. Because the Agni that you see here is linked to the Agni that is within. I have seen wonderful things happen with Babaji sitting with the dhuni. Now, the second symbol is the Trishul. See the Trishul from all angles. It's actually a symbol of the spinal cord, the Shushumna Nadi, straight, which goes straight up. And the two on the sides are the Ida and the Pingala. It's not meant to kill somebody. Yeah, in a way you can say it's meant to kill the physical animal instincts. It's like people say, what is jihad? Jihad means to master your own self to internal warfare. So, in the same way, Trishul is a symbol. You see always Shivji carrying a Trishul. Shivji is a manifestation of, is a symbol of the Supreme Being as Sadashiva and as the greatest of all yogis as Adinatha. And he is the only god in the Hindu pantheon who is also meditating himself. Which means a symbol of a yogi showing you what to do. And the third eye is the eye of wisdom that opens when both eyes are shut. So that Shiva always carries a Trishul and a snake. In fact, there are some Nathpanthis who have snakes also. We can't carry them around. The snake is the energy that moves when the central channel becomes straight like the Trishul and pointing upwards. That's why Trishul is always stuck like this. It's not stuck like this. Although the point is there, it should be always up. It also represents the flames of a fire. It is also a symbol of the lotus. There are many symbols attached to the Trishul. And the chumta. Chumta is used to adjust the fire. It's a pair of tongs. It means that you need a pair of tongs of wisdom to adjust your life. You can't do it with your bare hands. You need the tongs. Therefore, more than the Trishul, the chumta of the Nath is the symbol of the Guru, of the teacher, because you cannot do it yourself. You'll burn your hands. You need help. That is the Guru. It's the symbol of the Guru. There's one more thing which I don't have here. They have something called a Singanath, which is a small whistle made of horn, which is hung on the neck in a black cord. Why this is used is because they don't like to talk too much. In a monastery of a sampradaya, morning if you want to wake up, the Guru will get up and blow a whistle. Everybody is up. Then when you sit to meditate, so you sit and meditate. You don't talk much. What is to be explained is explained once. And when you're walking along, if you want to know each other, you blow that whistle. And now blowing the whistle is such a beautiful symbol. You cannot blow something which is solid. You cannot blow through something which is solid. No sound will come out. It's only when it is hollow that some sound can come out. Therefore, it is only when the human being has shed his ego and become hollow that Adinath can blow the whistle. This is the symbol of the whistle. It's called Shinghanath. So these are some of the things I wanted to tell you because we are here for the Kumbha Mela. And as of now, all we who have gathered here can consider themselves at least for 2 days, 3 days as part of the Nath Sampradaya with Madhukar Nath as the teacher and Maheshwar Nath as the teacher's teacher and Gorakhnath as the guide and Machendra Nath as his teacher and Adinath as the supreme teacher. We should keep this in mind when we sit down to meditate, whatever. Now, there is a greeting among the Naths. When they meet each other, they say, Alak Niranjan. Alak Niranjan. And usually they carry the chumta, so you hit it with that Alak Niranjan, which means, Alak means that which is separate from everything else, which cannot be identified with anything that you know. It means something which the brain cannot conceive of. It also means alek, that which cannot be written. No letter can describe it. Any letter that tries to describe it falls short. If you have described it, you have finished it. You cannot, there are no words by which it can be actually described. Alag. And Niranjan means that which is full of light and consciousness. So, that is one greeting. The other is Har Har Mahadev, which means, see this word, usually it is taken as Har Har Mahadev, some kind of a greeting for Mahadev. Har Har Mahadev. Haran means cut. Cut the ego into two. The shortest cut is to cut the ego into two. Har Har. Then there is only Mahadev left. As long as there is no Har Har, there is no Mahadev. You can't see Mahadev. It is not possible. This place, Vaishnavites call it Haridwar, but the Shaivites call it Haridwar. So the doorway to Hara. Hara is the one who destroys, like the Tandava Nirta. All images are broken and torn to pieces. What remains is Shivam, Mahadev. Chidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham. That you cannot say until you have really cut down all the images. Everybody can't say Shivoham Shivoham. It's not possible. The other greeting which they usually use is Bam Bhole. Now, Bam Bhole is also used when you pull the chilam. Now that is because most people cannot experience an altered state of consciousness without some kind of stimulant. Most people can't. But when it is done under the guidance of a teacher, we don't have here, please. Under the guidance of a teacher, then the teacher also knows how to take you away from that habit. Otherwise what happens is, you will see around when you go to Kumbh, you become merely drug addicts. There is no spiritual, nothing happening. Morning till night you are smoking drugs, nothing else. That's not the intention. The intention is, when you take something like that, in fact Patanjali also has said in the Samadhi Pada of the Yoga Sutras, different ways of attaining Samadhi, Aushadhanani, also by using Aushadhas. But one has to be very careful with this. It can be done only through guidance. And when they do that, they shout Bam. Bam is a Bijakshara of Shiva in Tandava Nirta. Even if you simply sit and say Bam, not Bam, sit down and say Bam Bam. Keep on repeating Bam Bam. It is an explosion actually. It means it's a breaking away, like a bomb. Bum bum. And Bhole is because Shiva is supposed to be very Bhole. Bholenath. That means so simple, who needs no paraphernalia. You know what Shiv Puja is? You just have to give one what leaf? Bilva Patra and a little water. Enough. So he is Bhole, he is supposed to be. And it is an indication that unless and until the human being becomes less complicated and becomes a Bhola, it is not possible to touch Mahadev. No devious person can touch it. He has to be a Bhola. And now, if you are a Bhola, you may suffer in the material world. That's okay. I mean, you can't help it. But deep inside, you must be so simple. And that's not a cultivated thing. It comes by understanding that you really cannot find the truth using your brain. Maximum that the brain intellect can lead you is to the understanding that the intellect cannot take you there. That is, even the Upanishads have said so. When the Kenopanishad has said, "Yan manasana manyute yanahur manomatam," that which even the mind cannot reach, that is the Supreme Being. Which means what? When the mind is absolutely quiet, when all images have fallen, in that pristine purity, there is a manifestation of Mahadev Samadhi. So, Har Har Mahadev, say Shambhu.
Shambho.